been very interesting and nuanced how both create the catch-22, where it's just like, I don't know how we engage actually, because both of these options don't really seem ideal. But Necrodancers have elected to take us to Cursed Hollow for game number 2. Zabatak and company waste no time banning the Haka.
The immediate Abathur ban. That's sort of the standard Cursed Hollow response. If someone bans Haka, you ban Abathur, because you're like, they're going to first pick Abathur. I don't want to deal with that on this map. It is his best map, and he's a very strong hero, important to play. The Genji pickup. Ballstead ETC. Are we seeing the global comp? Because that's potentially an offlane ETC with stage dive, and then we're seeing the Falstad, and there could be like more globals coming.
I mean, it's an interesting opening statement, because you do have to worry about stage dive, and obviously Fly with Mighty Go is going to make something of a question mark for any time you venture over towards the boss camp. And I'm sure these 31 seconds are going to be well utilized by Team Newmerics, because they're like, are they trying to cheese this? What are they trying to do? I'm stumped. I wasn't expecting that. I thought we would see something more standard, something more akin to what we saw out of them last go round. But on this larger battleground, you got to keep in mind also, Cav, that they chose this map. And normally when you pick a map, it's because you have a plan and a reason to do that. So,
and I feel
you
like
might see something wild.
I feel like, you know, they must have a plan, because drafting Falstad and a Genji is normally like a head scratcher. If you have a Falstad roaming around the map, doing stuff, catching lanes, Genji can find him and kill him pretty convincingly in most cases. But if he's protected for some reason, if there's some sort of vision advantage going on, and then you have, you know, we've even seen Wingman start to get picked up, just so Falstad can put even more macro pressure on the map just by bribing camps at critical moments. Malfurion and Muradin picked up. Muradin has been making a big comeback into the tanking pool, sort of the tanking pool of 2017 all over again. It's Muradin you can see a lot of the time, with Joe sort of in there as well. No global though? Like, there's not that many globals in the game. I'm really curious to see how they're going to match the global pressure potential here from Necrodancers.
Haka banned, Abathur banned, ETC Falstad already taken. No globals in the first half of the draft. You take Malfurion, we normally see Brightwing paired with Uther. I'm with you. I'm very curious. Going into the second ban phase, Necrodancer have no interest in Tracer show up. Okay.
I mean, Malfurion and Tracer is a great combo. You don't see generally Genji and Tracer. That's a little unusual. Hanzo so far has been completely ignored in this draft, by the way, so no instant bosses to be done.
Yeah.
A little bit surprised by that.
Ooh.
In Pro, Cursed Hollow has stopped being picked a lot because Hanzo exists. So it's interesting to see him just be completely ignored this far down the draft. Deckard ban coming out.
I think it's a smart choice compared to when you consider what we saw last go round. You already have Malfurion, arguably one of the top supports, top 2, along with Deckard Cain. That leaves a hero like Stukov, and Caesar Salad. He knows what Stukov can bring to the table, so I'm sure you add it to that conversation, and they'll be ready for that support should that be the one selected. Do we see further commitments? Because who else could even be global here for this? The Haka ban, Abathur already gone.
I mean,
are they going to cheese this?
The rest of them are a little bit not as good in the meta. Right. There's Zagara, there's Illidan, there's Morales. I don't think we're going to see any of those. I'd be happy to be proven wrong, because I would love to see the 5 global comp come out. That's one of my favorite things to run. That is going to be Greymane Rhaegar. All right, so they pick... Rhaegar was buffed, but Rhaegar's sort of a catch-all support. He has decent-ish sustain. He has a burst save mechanic. He has a cleanse. He has everything you want from support, and Greymane can do camps. Is a big threat in the macro sense.
Yeah, Rhaegar is like the long flat bar in Tetris. Like it's hard to not find a place for him. Like he goes into everything. And against Muradin I think has seen a lot of prominence these days because of his ability to punish someone out of position. Someone gets caught out of position for a second, Stormbolt lands and leaves them right there. So then the rest of the team can jump on that. You want to have a hero with cleanse available for instances where you do have a Damaverian Greymane jumping in and going a little too ham. And why not have 2 dogs if you can do it? A couple of heroes to select now for Team Newmerics. How do you think they rounded out, man?
I mean, they have 0 wave clear and 0 mercability so far, so they need a bruiser. It's going to be Hanzo Urel, and I mean, Hanzo is just really good on this map. The one thing that they don't really have is great boss control. They have knockback on Urel, and that's it. That's their boss control. Versus Gust, versus Face Melt with a 0-second cooldown, essentially, post 13 because of mic check. But there's no vision mechanic coming out yet from Necrodancers. So if Necrodancers wants to make sure they don't get outbossed, essentially, they need a vision mechanic, and that's really hard to fit into their draft at this point because they kind of want that other front line. We could see Tyrael here for the Holy Ground.
Ooh. Tyrael Greymane, a story as old as time. Well, as old as beta, I guess. 16 second pick. The more I'm thinking about it, I do like the Tyrael. He's a serviceable solo laner. You can kind of hold all positions. You can add to the support that Rhaegar brings to the table, who I wouldn't say he got a buff, just kind of like they took some of the start shot Ancestral Healing and up the queue. Who did they, is it? All right, they went for more frontline, but they went with the demon and not the angel.
But it's going to be an offlane ETC. ETC can usually tie almost anyone post 7 with Echo Pedal. Early on, it's not fun to lane against ETC as Urel. I've tested that matchup. It's brutal. But hopefully it's not ETC against Urel. Hopefully they can do like a lane swap or a lane offset. But the late game, having the double global versus no global is going to be like the saving grace versus the potential race from Hanzo. So they have to make sure they're always paying attention to the minimap. Oh, they're missing from the minimap. They might be on boss. We have to go check. And then if they are there, the global should be able to get there in time. It's just going to be a constant thing that they have to be thinking about all game long.
Necrodancers, obviously a great team. This is a comp that, without knowing the team, I would say, all right, you got to convince me on how well this is overall going to work. Sure, it has merits, but you would just have to convince me. Meanwhile, when you consider the composition that Newmerics has put together, Envy's Genji, really strong. Kwanzar's Hanzo, really strong. Urel's Zabatek, or Zabatek's Urel, very strong. They got everything they wanted, man. Zabatek is on Urel, Astabroth is playing Merlin, Kwanzar's on Hanzo, Envy's playing Genji, Caesar Salad back again on Malfear.
And on the right-hand side, we have Necrodancers, Physicals on Greymane, Domavarian on Falstad, Quantum on Rhaegar, Huff Money on that Diablo, and Azariel on offlane ETC. One of my favorite offlaners, to be honest. I think ETC is so good in that role. And people think he's such a great tank, but he's also such a good offlaner, which means he gives you so much flexibility in the draft. But looking at this, like Urel, Malfurion, Genji, Hanzo on Cursed, people who just tuned in have got to be looking at this and being like, how did this draft happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, well, I wish we could have got more out of the draft. Like, if there was a way for Team Newmerics to force out game number 3, you want to load onto the battleground with this arrangement of hero. I assure you that. They might be a little short on wave clear in some instances, but Hanzo's going to be able to say a thing or two about that build provided. They got to be happy, man.
Astabroth with the dismount there, forcing his Ariel to like walk away, and Urel just bush soaking, so some minions missed there. Just like 1 or 2 minions missed. Not a huge deal, but the margins between these two teams in game 1 were so small. Small differences can start that up a bit.
Both teams minding their P's and Q's. Minute 1 has been each camps. Bruiser camps generally tend to be the top of the conversation at that point. Envy's going to be laning against Falstad. A little bit of poke. Play around the abilities. Genji's not the worst solo laner. It's just this is not how you really want to play him.
It's one of those things where, you know, this is the laning, this is the heroes we have. We need someone to anchor. Genji's super safe. And Urel and Hanzo are just a little bit better at doing camps than Genji is, unfortunately.
So, draws the shortest straw. Envy's on janitorial duty for the Bruiser camp, picked up early by Quantum and Physical. So we're now looking to get some value off of that, but Urel, Hanzo, able to do the same. Domavarian's got to play it pretty safe. He just used the well here. If you get low like that again, Envy is the type of player. He's cheeky enough to go in like that.
Interesting that Newmerics actually managed to have their camp a little bit later. Defensively, that's how you'd want to do it in terms of the timing. Kwanzaa getting a lot, really chunked there, forced to jump over the wall and jump back, get his tap and come back into the fight. They are going to be able to clear the camps a little bit more aggressively because it's on their side, but that's just going to push their camp over and allow Necrodancers to clear. So this ends up being a net neutral overall. A little bit of damage on the tower. They might get a little bit of return damage since they are backing off to get the siege out now. Very neutral game so far, actually. I'm surprised at exactly how even everything is.
It doesn't really surprise me, considering how both of these teams just kind of waiting for the objective. There isn't really a high-stakes moment just yet. Astabrov, Caesar Salad, and Kwanzaa are putting the absolute screws to the mid lane right now, though. That gets them a slight experience lead. Up money out in the flank, mounts up. Not in time to try to make anything happen. But Cav, you wanted some action. We're about to get it in 5 seconds.
And we are, of course, going to leave false side bottom, pushing with that siege camp. He does not have tap available, and he's a little bit low. Envy looking for it. He does get some free damage. Domavarian forced to one barrel roll, and he is out. But also, Envy manages to send away both globes here. Meanwhile, in the top, the fight over the tribute, the 4v4 is starting to happen.
Nice route there by Caesar Salad to stave off the aggression that we saw. Quantum and company looking them out. Puff money goes to poke. Genji's still been down in bottom, showing in lane. It could reasonably do that because Falstad had to go back, get himself patched up. This could be one of those buckle in because we might be in for the long haul.
I love this response by the Domavarian. He's low, he backs, he goes mid instead, and now he's in global range of this fight if he decides to come in. This forces Genji to rotate to match, but Falstad can fly bottom for additional soak if they decide to prioritize that over the tribute itself. Meanwhile, this 4v4 can continue to happen, and they can delay even if Genji comes.
The mark of a great player and a great team. They understand some of these high-level decisions and how they can maximize the value had out of their hero selection. Because in a lot of ways, I feel like the race to 10 is going to be more than the race to 3 tributes. I'd be more than fine to giving up a tribute if I can get a sizable experience lead. But both teams understand that, so they're considering the wave soak. So the Falstad play is getting matched for by the Genji.
Both teams at level 7 at nearly the exact same time. Astabrov actually rotating to mid as Murden looking for the jump stun, but Falstad burns Barrel Wolf, gets out of there, he's clearing mid now. We'll be able to do that could have done that very quickly, but he's actually in full W build. So it's all about the dueling, and because he's not here, Newmerics decides to be very aggressive, pushing into the 5v4, and they get the tribute even though they don't get any kills.
They put up a good facade, they show that they want to play aggressive, but meanwhile the tribute Domavarian cheeky hits the Z key. Thanks for your Z camp. Waves goodbye. Wow.
And that means there's going to be no pressure in that top lane from a siege camp. During the next tribute, he took that 50-50. It could spawn bottom in the next tribute. And if it does, then your siege camp's going to get a lot of value. But what if you just didn't have a siege camp?
The only thing he didn't leave a spray behind. That would have been the perfect play if he just left the spray. Like the variant thinking or something like that. That would have been pretty clutch. Nice play all the same, though. Take that option away. Next tribute's going to be down bottom, so relieving yourself of that pressure could be huge, because if this becomes another long team fight, that siege camp could have gotten a fort wall for free.
Oh, look at this leverage of their comp. Necrodancers is just laning. They're not really thinking about this. And but look at the response. The moment they do see them missing from the map, they go for their boss. They realize there's no way they can make this rotation in time, so they go for their boss instead. They're going to have trading. I think they may actually have to give the tribute here as well, because it's going to be a long rotation for 3 of their members to get here. And giving the rotation, giving the tribute that's on your side of the map is the last thing you ever want to do early game on first follow. You usually want to, you trade the middle tribute, whatever, you get the one that's on your side of the map, the team gets the one that's on their side of the map. But not only are they going to be able to get the tribute, they now have control of vision, they can steal the siege if they want to, they can push with this boss. They're going to get an enormous amount of work done.
Yeah, it feels like both teams are kind of playing a game. It's like, yeah, you get another tribute, you get the curse, but we are very well on our way to getting heroics first. So what is going to give? Siege camp is going to get picked up. They took a page out of Domavarian's book. They're like, all right, man, you got siege camp, but we're going to go ahead and take yours and even things up. At the end of the day, pretty much even amount of value had out of the bosses. And it should be time for level 10 to get picked up also for Team Newmerics. So the gambit hasn't exactly paid off for Necrodancers.
This is so funny to watch because Hans is good defensively against bosses as well, but Greymane's better at pushing with a boss because he does so much more structure damage than everyone else in the game. It is a high sustained single target, so it's like, okay, you can push with yours, even though you got it faster, we're gonna get more with ours because we push faster because we have Greymane, and then you didn't back with your defense, so it's gonna take you. But when you do back, you're gonna clear it instantly, whereas ours is gonna take longer to clear. And it ends up being like a net neutral. The decision making from Necrodancers essentially negated the value of Hanzo.
This is going to be the first forced gesture in this entire game stage. That Flank immediately jumps for the pushback, but ultimately it was all the roots against him. Rhaegar gets dunked on in the back.
Physicals is really low in the backline. We're going to see Azariel as well having to back off. Huck Money is sort of stuck in this position, and it's going to end up being a 2-for-none trade. Really good execution coming out of Newmerics. Bavarian will knock it away here. I don't think the scatter arrow will confirm the kill. And Curse, and they're already at the wall where this fort is already dead, which means they're going to get a lot of lane pressure. Top is not going to get too much value because that lane is so far pushed in. Mid is reasonably pushed in, so it should naturally get the fort. But their eyes are on this keep. This is their boss lane. If they get this keep, then boss becomes an easy win condition for the rest of the game.
Cavalier, this is the power move. Team Newmerics are going to be able to focus out Catapult down here. Is going to very much constrict the options of Necrodancers to do anything about it. Mighty Gust, Ancestral Healing, all committed to saving the bacon of Huck Money. Armed Defender goes out. The GOAT is forever. Malfurian's there to back up also. Stormbolt tags ETC in the face for disengage. And so far, it's looking like we see a successful defense of this bottom key.
18 seconds left on the first. They're going to continue to try for this. I really want them to kill these sidewalls. They're going to go for the arrow into and engage with the Yrel, but they heal essentially from Diablo there. Stage dive into the clump, and Zab attack with the knockback. Kwanzaa eats the cleanse, jumps over the wall, and their chase is really good, but Kwanzaa does not have his D and he's split from his team. He's completely alone here. The dive is going to happen. He tries to get the counter kill with the scatter onto Bavarian, but he barrel rolls out. That ends up going down. They save the keep, a really strong defense from Necrodancers.
The throat is gone for avert ye eyes. But to be honest, Cav, that could have been a lot further behind. Team Newmerics as they were retreating. That would have been a face melt and a pretty rough go of things. But losing just one hero is not the worst case scenario. Middle fort was picked up for free. Top lane was pushed in enough thanks enough to the boss, so they don't lose the fort there. Pretty even gesture, all things considered.
Kind of interesting the way Zabatek is playing Yrel because he's going so hard, he's being so aggressive, which I really love to see from Yrel players. But he also went Aegis of Light at level 4, and he's eating onto the enemy team and not his team. I don't really think anyone on his team has actually gotten that benefit from the talent. And you need to, like, it needs to be something you play with very consistently where your Murden jumps in and then you jump in after him to give him that armor so it makes him an even more difficult target to take down. We are going to see Repentance picked up, so we're going for the slow talent again. Slowing down a Diablo, slowing down a Greymane, slowing down a Rhaegar can all be incredibly impactful. And the globals are starting to tell here. Falstad bottom, ETC top. Genji's trying to match the Falstad, but no one's matching top against that ETC.
I like the idea of the slow. I mean, we haven't a lot of hard decisions being made by these teams or serious commitments in team fights, except for that last tribute, arguably. So why not force those decisions to have much more resounding an impact by having them slow down? So like when you do come in here, ways it would otherwise be, boss camp is up for both sides of the map. 13 is head. This is going to be a very interesting moment in this game, Kev.
No tributes up for either team, so bosses are going to be far more impactful here. We get a big arrow onto just Diablo, though. Hot Money is not the real target you want to focus. We're going to see the stage dive come in and hit. 3-man stage dive. And again, Kwanzaa is the focus target in a lot of trouble, but he barely dashes away where Rhaegar goes down in the backline. Physical's trying to get the kill onto Envy, but goes down himself instead. And Kwanzaa just like throwing scatters from the Troke. I'm here, guys. I'm still involved in the team fight, I promise.
As one-dimensional as the strategy seems to be, it's turning out to be exceedingly effective. The moment we see any sort of engagement from the red team, Team Newmerics is like, all right, oh, can't Ancestral Healing himself. And ETC and Diablo don't seem too particularly keen on peeling for him. So why not? Down variance the barrel roll. Envy's on the chase. Just shuriken. ETC will lick his wounds and go up and get that top tribute. Or not. Or not. Okay.
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 Clearing the lane's important too. I think that guaranteeing that tribute was somewhat more important at the stage of the...
He went back for it. Okay.
There we go. But the question is here, are they going to double boss and remove that condition from the enemy team? Because if Necrodancers gets their boss, there's a chance they can get keep. But it looks like they're going to get boss and then push with it to secure their own keep. That will get them very close to 16 at the same time. And if they get even a single pick after they get 16, they'll be able to end with this boss. And, ooh, the Cleanse and the Gust coming out in combination to save them Bavarian. But the camp gets picked up by the... by my mind blinking, by the Newmerics.
Accented by boss, this is going to be quite a sizable push. Bottom keep, foregone conclusion. Mighty Gust not available for 40 long seconds. Jumps forward, Stormbolt. Dragon Arrow goes in, Zap Attack looking for more damage. The Root goes in, Physicals gets his hit, his health bar reset. Envy breaks out the Dragon Blade, looking to slice as well as dice. Quantum forward now, low health bar. Cesaro the first target. ETC sits the rest of this one out. Envy dashes over to Rhaegar, says the same thing. And with the core rapidly falling, Team Newmerics says we're going to game number 3.
That was an incredibly interesting game. I like the strategy coming out of Necrodancers, but that's the dream draft for Cursed Hollow, to be honest. Like Hanzo and a better team fight composition is so amazing. The enemy team has Gus is their only boss control tool, really. In the knockback from ETC, it's like very, very, very limited. So they can win fights, they can win the tributes, and then they can also guarantee the bosses and get so much value out of them. I can't believe Hanzo went through so late in the draft. That was so amazing. I thought they, I was so sure Necrodancers had a specific answer, but they looked helpless in the face of that boss race.
The 3 things I have to say about that game is, 1, I agree with you. Team Newmerics, I don't think they could have arguably asked for a better draft. I mean, you get your rail at the back end. Like, you can't really complain about that. The second thing, like I said, going into the game, without knowing the names, I would have to be thoroughly convinced with the composition that Necrodancers put together. And I feel like some of the points I had about that were made self-evident. But the third thing, Cav, if I'm Quantum, I feel like I'm a quarterback that's no linebackers in sight. No one, no defensive lineman. No one trying to keep me alive. He's just getting sacked in the back line. He goes back into the huddle and he's just like, guys, you gotta protect me. Help me, help you. Because if everyone just jumps on the back line and ETC's power sliding out there, you're going for a shadow charge off on your own. I can't cleanse myself. I can't ancestral healing myself. So if you want heals, turn around every now and again. Because that was tough, man. He was getting jumped on left, right, and center.
Is this true? Quantum went down, I think, at the start of almost every fight that happened. And that's one of the things, your team has to peel for you, but you also have to be really careful as Rhaegar. Without the ability to self-ancestral, especially in competitive, you have to play very conservatively as Rhaegar. You want to bite in and get that crit damage. It feels really good. You get to see the number. But if you go in and bite someone, then you're next to someone. And then they're next to you. And that's not necessarily the position you want to be in.
Reasonable deductions abound. It's part of why I'm not really a fan of Rhaegar in competitive play. Great hero. Brings a lot to the table. But you're pretty much saying, I'm a heal bot. If I'm jumping in on the front line, it's to secure a takedown in a fight that's probably already won anyway. Like, you guys have to win the team fight. I have to stay alive. And I can't throw out a root like Decker Kane or Malfurion. I can't do a bunch of healing to a bunch of people like Alex Strauss. Like, I'm an Archie. I ancestral, I cleanse, and I stay the heck away. Because if I go up there at all, and y'all don't peel for me, I'm coaching you as a spectator because I'm dead. And that's what we saw.
You can't, and in fairness, you can't underestimate the value of someone being dead and shot calling the fight because they're not playing their hero. They're not doing anything else. A lot of fights get turned in competitive play. Like in actual professional play, a lot of fights get turned around because someone dies at the start. The enemy team's burned all their cooldowns. They don't have anything left. And the other team still has cooldowns. And they're like, and there's one dead guy shot calling the fight. That didn't happen there though, unfortunately.
I can't imagine Quantum loaded into that game and he's like, hey guys, I'll be there to shot call after I'm dead. That's not the value he was trying to get out of Rhaegar. I can guarantee you that.